Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the Mary's Mini Experience, like I call it. Or we could call it the Mary's Mini Experiment. I, throughout my 10 years of whole food, plant-based, I've done experiments on myself to see what works and what doesn't. Sometimes it's good to do that. And this is sort of like that. It's an experiment, at least for me, because I have never done a Mary's Mini. I have always just pretty much stayed with the whole food plant-based way of eating, like Dr. McDougall presents it, like Dr. Esselstyn, like True North Health Center, like Chef AJ. I mean, all of us are kind of in the same camp. Sometimes our fat content may be 15%, sometimes 12, but sometimes 10 for some people. But we're there in the less than 20% fat and 80 or more percent starch. And we never worry about we never really have to worry about quantities or measuring or anything like that. Okay, so let's see here. Let me see. I want to make sure that I cover everything. I'm going to show you a list of movies that comes in very handy. So let me see here. Okay, so this is Mary's Mini, day 3. And I like this. Eat boring and make your life exciting. That's a really good saying. That means that let's focus on making our life exciting. Find new things to do, to try, find some other activities you can try, and don't worry too much about having to become a chef or cooking a different, recipe for every meal, because most of us don't do that. Okay. All right. So here is a list. I'm giving you this list here because sometimes if you ever are tempted to eat something that is not part of the program, or if it's later at night and you want to eat, and I told you to please try to not eat after 6 or 7 p.m., find something else to do. Yeah, it could be reading a book, it could be going for a walk, making a phone call, etc. But these videos here, these movies are so powerful that if you watch this, let me tell you, whatever cravings you had, you will not want to give in, because these are movies that are very inspiring, and they tell you the truth. And so here we go. I hope that you will, go ahead and take a picture if you have your phone there. Maybe you have maybe you have seen some of these, and maybe not. The one that made me change was Forks Over Knives. Very, very powerful documentary. Okay, so I'm going to show you some photos that some of you have sent me. One of you sent me a photo. You said that you use the air fryer for the sweet potatoes because you choose sweet potatoes as your starch, and then steamed broccoli. So, and you said that the sweet potatoes in the air fryer were amazing. Okay. Another one of you said, this is my mashed potatoes on root vegetable soup, which is more of a vegetable puree topped with cabbage. Wow, that is I can tell that's very filling. So at the bottom, you have the root vegetable soup. Then you have your mashed potatoes. Then you have cabbage that seems to be steamed. So these root vegetables don't have enough starch to be considered starchy vegetables. Anything that is below 30% starch, it really is not considered starchy. Well, it's considered that it has some starch, but it's not a starchy vegetable like a potato, a sweet potato, corn, or other things that like obviously like rice and beans. So you can actually use these. You would not do, for example, a Mary's Mini with carrots. It doesn't make any sense. It won't work. You're not gonna do a Mary's Mini with butternut squash, okay, or with peas only. Can you imagine eating peas for 10 days? So the main vegetables for starchy are the ones that I mentioned, plus some of the grains and beans. So one of you said, I could get used to eating only potatoes, and you sent me this picture, and it looks amazing. Those are potatoes that you make in the oven, and there is a technique to make them as if they were fried. I mean, they taste as good as anything else, and they're very crunchy on the outside. They're creamy on the inside, okay? And I have videos where I show that in my YouTube channel. Okay, another one of you, a very good friend of mine who's doing this, sent me this, and these are hash browns and asparagus, and then a salad. Okay, so that's a perfectly good meal. So while root vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes provide well-rounded nutrition, remember that potatoes and sweet potatoes are considered superfoods. That means that you could actually live on them for the rest of your life and be healthy. Now, grains and beans lack sufficient vitamins A and C when eaten alone. That is why in Mary's Mini, beans alone as your starch is not recommended, okay? So remember that. You can use a little bit here and there, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Therefore, add some non-starchy vegetables to make your grain and bean meals complete. Beans alone, yeah, I just said that. Okay, so a little reminder, because some of you email me and say, hey, I just saw the Mary's Mini announce or this or that. And I want to make sure that you always are connected, because I do what I think are fun programs almost every month, or I do cooking demos and stuff. So to be in touch with me, you can go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you click on that little bell so you get notifications. You can sign up for my email list, which I don't abuse. I send an email once a month or twice a month. Every now and then, when there are several things that are coming up, I may send a few more, but I don't, and I certainly don't share my email list with others. So, okay. Also, Facebook under Dr. Starch, you can find me there. And under Instagram, you can also find me there. Okay, so that's just so that you can stay in touch. Very good. Let me stop sharing this here. And let's talk about Mary's Mini guidelines that are always a topic, okay, because there is some confusion. Okay, let's see. There is always confusion because these guidelines are what the word means. They're guidelines. These are not rigid. And I know we like to have, many of you like to have very structured and rigid rules. And there are, like choosing a starch and then adding some non-starchy vegetables with it. But other than that, since Mary McDougall started the Mary's Mini about 40 years ago or so, if you watch videos with her or with Dr. McDougall, or if you read sometimes her comments, you will notice that throughout the time, she says different things. And it's not that she's changing the rules or the guidelines. It's just that having been with the McDougalls myself, I have sat next to Dr. McDougall and Mary many times eating lunch. We have traveled together during the McDougall adventures and things like that. I've seen how they eat, and it's very simple, okay? It's very simple, and it's about this way, you know, a starch and then something that is non-starchy. So I want to say that the latest guidelines are in Dr. McDougall's website, and I want to show you this. Let's see if I can bring up the website. Okay, so you can actually, oops, let's see. Okay, give me a second until I can see this because somehow I lost it. Okay, so you right now you can buy the package. It's usually $49. They're giving a 25% off, so you pay $36.75. These are the you know, the rules, as if we could say. Let's see if we can actually, I'm going to type here drmcdougall.com so I can show you where this is. And let's see. Okay. All right, so this is the website. I'm going under education. I am going under programs, actually. And I'm going under mini courses, okay? So mini courses for more than 35 years, well, we've been teaching people, et cetera, and see our mini courses. Here's Mary's mini McDougall diet, okay? And it tells you what it is. It tells you what to expect. It says monotony is the key, okay? And then it says register and save. So I actually registered, okay? So to save you that money, I cannot send you the PDFs, okay? Because that wouldn't be you know, allowed. But I can tell you there are 4 pages here. In none of these 4 pages, you see the word fruit. So, for example, if I'm going to go with this, I'm going to eat no fruit. On the other hand, there are some videos in which Mary or Dr. McDougall mentions fruit. The other day, I myself emailed Dr. McDougall and asked him about fruit. And he said, yes, you can have, you know, maybe 2 pieces of fruit a day. So they're not meaning to confuse us. It's just that they themselves don't do this as rigidly as we would like it to be. So the other thing here, it says, what do the McDougalls eat? Okay, well, I can tell you that Dr. McDougall loves baked potatoes and steamed broccoli. Okay, and that's what it says here. Then it says, Mary McDougall, baked yams and steamed green vegetables. And then it says, Heather McDougall, which is their daughter, it says brown rice, black beans, and pico de gallo salsa. And then it says, we don't recommend making legumes your primary starch, but if you combine it with something like potatoes or rice and keep it to under a cup a day, you are still following the Mary's mini guidelines. So I want to clarify that because I got some comments in a Facebook page saying that beans are starch and you can do a bean. No, you cannot do an only bean. It has toxic levels of protein. So you can do a rice Mary's mini, and like it says here, you can add a little bit of black beans or any kind of bean on top, and that is in the recent guidelines. Okay, and then there's another page that has some of the main dishes that they make, like roasted potatoes and carrots, and roasted potatoes and mashed potatoes and baked yams and simple corn soup, etc. So if you want to have this, you know, I just share with you the basics, but if you want to see it, then the only way to do it is by purchasing it from the website. Okay, so carrots, for example, are 7% starch. It's a very low amount of starch. So definitely we cannot say that it's a starchy vegetable. Green peas are about 20% starch. Okay, so and butternut squash is about 27% starch. So usually anything that is 30% or less starch is considered non-starch. It has to go above 30%, quite a lot more for us to consider it starchy. Okay, so just want to make sure that you guys are eating enough. This is not a starvation diet. You do need to get your calories per day. You know, this will vary widely depending on whether you're a man or a woman or how tall you are or what kind of work you do. I mean, it will vary. But it is 1,700, 2,200 so calories per day. So if you're eating 600 calories a day, you're going to feel tired, okay? And you may be starving, and that's not the point. So make sure that you eat a good amount of starch. I'm going to have today mashed potatoes, which is mostly potatoes, but I'm going to add a little bit of steamed butternut squash because I like the texture. Okay, and then I'm going to have some a tomato and cucumber salad. Very simple. So that's what I'm going to have today for lunch. Okay, so somebody asked me about bread in Mary's Mini. Well, unfortunately, bread doesn't have a place in Mary's Mini. Remember that this is only for 10 days. Okay, after the 10 days, then you can do a regular whole food plant-based diet, which is like Mary's Mini, but then you can eat all kinds of starch and combine them and change them every day. And you could have some types of bread. But this is just for 10 days. Okay, I do have several videos that I've made in the past with very, very, very simple meal ideas. And I will send those links to you so you can watch them. One of them sent me an email, and you say that you hate cooking, you said. I've moved into my home and had the oven ripped out. And 30 years later, I don't regret it at all. Okay, so with that knowledge, you say, what is the best way to prepare meals? Well, I mean, you know, there is some preparation that has to go on, but I'm going to send in the email that's going to go out, I'm going to send those links. Make sure those videos are in my YouTube channel. You just have to scroll down until you find them. But I think there is a playlist that is called recipes or meal ideas, and I have them there, so you can find them. But for those of you who really don't enjoy cooking, remember that you can go to the grocery store and buy fresh vegetables already chopped or shredded in bags, already washed. You can buy vegetables that are frozen, which are actually many times they're even better than the fresh, because frozen vegetables actually are picked at their peak when they're when they have matured, and they're washed and they're flash frozen, and so the nutrition stays there. So there's nothing wrong with buying frozen vegetables. So you can buy packages. You can also buy packages of already cooked rice, so you don't even have to cook the rice. You can also cook quinoa, and they must have cooked everything. I don't buy it because I like to do it at home. Also, you can buy canned beans. Just make sure that if at all possible, you buy those with no sodium added, because that's where the sodium comes in, okay? The salt shaker on your table is not the main source of sodium. That's about 5 or 6% of all the sodium consumed. 77% of the sodium in people's diet comes from processed foods or foods that come in packages or cans. So you can make a lot of different types of soups and stews with frozen vegetables. You just put, a few cups of water in a pot. You put 1 or 2 bags of frozen vegetables, and then you put a starch. Maybe one day it's going to be rice, another day it's going to be beans, another day is cubed potatoes. You can make really good soups and stews. You can also buy already made pasta sauce. Make sure it doesn't have oil, okay? Or you can make your own very, very easily. And I have videos with that as well. And then having pasta sauce or spaghetti sauce or tomato sauce is very convenient, because then you can buy, for example, brown rice pasta. You could buy or lentil pasta. They also make pasta with chickpea flour, and you can put the sauce in there and some steamed veggies, and you have a great meal. Of course, you can also do salads, and on the salads, I like to put many times chickpeas for the starch, or any other vegetables. So that's another way. So there are ways to make things simple. Since I don't know you personally, who wrote to me this would be best discussed in a one-on-one coaching session. If you were interested, I could do that for you, and I could tell you all the different options, because I need to know what you like, what you don't like, and what your goals are, etc. All right, so one more here. And one of you asked me, even though I have diabetes, it has been controlled from the moment of diagnosis with whole foods, plant-based. However, I have avoided potatoes because some doctors say that potatoes are not good for diabetes. As a result, I would like to know if that is McDougall's belief. So Dr. McDougall's belief is that potatoes are perfectly fine for someone who has diabetes. Actually, I have seen him numerous times when people start the program and they have diabetes type 2, not type 1. Either the first day or the next day, he reduces the insulin to or any kind of, but maybe not the insulin, but medication, prescription drugs. He reduces them to almost none or takes them away just like the second day, because the problem with diabetes type 2 is not the glucose, is the fat. So if you have diabetes, this is the book that you must have. This is the Bible, okay, for diabetes. Dr. Neil Barnard's Reverse Diabetes. So I'm going to tell you in like less than a minute what goes on with you who say here, well, I am insulin resistant. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second, because this is another one of those topics that is so confusing, and I don't understand why a medical doctor will not explain in a minute or less to the patient how this works. Even though I am not a medical doctor, I can read, okay? And so, of course, I'm not going to be prescribing medication, but we all have enough intelligence to read, and we can learn things. So this is what Dr. Neil Barnard says. When you have type 2 diabetes, your pancreas, which is in your abdomen, okay, your pancreas produces insulin. And insulin is a hormone. It's a very important hormone. So if you're diabetic and you have type 2 diabetes, there's nothing wrong with your pancreas. You are making insulin. It's not that you're not making or that you're making too much. You're making just the right amount. So what happens after the pancreas makes insulin? Well, it sends it to just about every cell in our bodies, particularly the cells, the muscle cells, the cells that allow us to move or to write or to do anything. Otherwise, I would be laying on the floor. Okay? To do anything, I have to have energy. And that energy comes from glucose getting inside the cells. It has to get inside the cell because glucose is the fuel, number one fuel of the body. Fat is reserved. Fat is not the first thing that the body grabs for energy. Protein is not the first thing either. And we only need minimal amounts of protein. So glucose, starch is the number one. Glucose has to be able to get inside the cell. So here we go. Your pancreas makes insulin. Insulin goes to almost every cell of the body. The insulin is like a little key that attaches to some sensors on every cell membrane to open the membrane so that the glucose that is in your blood can get in and you can have energy, okay? So what happens when you're insulin resistant? Well, you make insulin, the insulin goes to the cell, it tries to attach to open it, and it doesn't open. It doesn't open because it's stuck. It's as if somebody had put gum in a lock, and there's nothing wrong with the key, there's nothing wrong with the lock, but it can't get in, it can't open the door. So what is preventing insulin from attaching there and opening the membrane so that the glucose will go in? Well, this is what is preventing it. That is called intramyocellular lipid. In regular terms, it's fat inside your cell. How did that fat get inside your cell? That's the question. Not that I'm going to start giving you more insulin or more medication. You're not deficient in prescription drugs. Okay, so the problem is there that there's too much fat inside the cells. The cells need a little bit of fat, but not excessive amounts of fat. So how did it get there? Well, because you ate it. That's the only reason. It's not the potato. It was the butter that you put on that potato and the cheese and the sour cream that you put on that potato, that, okay, that went inside your cell. Eating a high-fat, diet will flood your cells with fat. So why is it that the second day in a 10-day McDougall program that the diabetics usually have almost normal levels of insulin? Well, because they're not eating fat anymore, added fats. They're eating the fat that is in the food. A potato has 1% fat in it, okay? So that is why Dr. McDougall says that potatoes are fine in diabetes. But if it makes you nervous, then switch to sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes have a little more gentle in your sugar spike. Also, we're supposed to have a sugar spike when we eat. You know, when I eat my potatoes now and whatever else I'm going to eat, if I measure my blood glucose, which I should never do that right after I eat anyway, the sugar has to go up. If it doesn't, then there's something wrong with us. Okay, it has to. So the thing is that it then gradually will need to go down. When we eat a whole food plant-based diet, the sugar spike is not like this, is like this, gradually, and like that. All right, well, enough of diabetes. It's kind of a passionate topic for me because my dad suffered from that. I saw him suffer. He died, basically. I mean, you don't die from diabetes. You die from the damage that diabetes does, which is destroy every possible, just about every internal organ in your body. And so that's why I spend a lot of time studying this. All right, so let's see your comments here. And while I read these comments, if you want to unmute and ask any questions or say anything, please feel free to do it. Okay. I'm not perfect either, Roberto says, okay. I remember when I wasn't losing weight and it usually meant I was starving myself. So it was a signal to eat more starch. And sure enough, I would lose quickly weight more quickly. Yes, last week I was losing weight like crazy. So I think I will add on more potatoes. Add, like I said earlier, make sure you do eat enough starch. If you have any questions, email me because and tell me a little bit about yourself, and then I can give you a more precise answer. So for some of you, doing a 50-50 plate will work perfectly. For some of you, you might need to do a 40-60. For some of you may need to do an 80-20, okay? But what Dr. McDougall says is that your plate should look like 70 to 80% starch and the other 20 to 30% non-starch. As you lose weight and as it becomes harder to lose the last few pounds, that's when you start getting closer and closer to half the plate only starch and half non-starch. But these are guidelines again. They're not written in stone and they have to be adapted to each person. I made a pot of Mexican rice, added a pack of cauliflower rice as well. I will have it with other veggies and maybe a salad too. Sounds great. Okay, you could use a panini grill, yeah, and grill. Oh, yeah, if you have those frozen hash browns and you have a panini grill or those are close like that, you put them there, you end up with like a potato pancake that is very crispy and very yummy. Okay, I feel
Yeah,
great.
that was for the person who took their oven out. I mean, I can't imagine how you cook without an oven. So a panini grill,
She
that would
doesn't
be
want to
one
cook.
thing. Yeah, or the little convection ovens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Julie. That's a really good idea. Okay, Bambi says, I feel great and I love how easy this is with potatoes cooked ahead and quickly steamed greens at the time of eating. I love how clean my kitchen is. I'm keeping this as simple as possible, doing a 50-50 plate, potatoes and greens. Huh? Okay, potatoes aren't the problem. It's the fat and other stuff we put on them. I know. I feel so bad for the poor potato. Such a perfect, such a perfect food, and you get such a bad, rep. It's not potatoes' fault. It's what people eat with it that ruins it. Okay.
Hi, Gustavo. I don't think that I
Yes.
would do, hi. I don't think that I would do sweet potatoes again if I were going to do this. I find it hard with the sweet potato, especially at breakfast time. I think I would do the white or yellow potato. I don't know who
Yeah.
else is
Yeah.
doing sweet potatoes, but I feel like I'm starving. I really feel
Mm,
hungry. And the first day I had absolutely no energy by 4 o'clock. I was
mhm.
just like a wet rag.
Right.
So I
Right.
don't know. I think that the
Well,
sweet potato
um,
is golden, but
yes, I didn't choose the sweet potato either because I don't enjoy a lot of sweet. I like it every a little bit here and there, and I thought that having 10 days of sweet potatoes would be too much. We're still early in the program. This is only the third day that I think, Lorraine, that if you wanted to switch the potatoes, it would be fine. But what basically what Mary McDougall says is don't go back and forth from regular to sweet potatoes and regular. But I think we're early if you wanted to change it, or you could stay. Just
I wonder
stay
what the
like this.
reason for that is. Like, why can't we do both? Like, do they ever give a reason?
Yeah, the reason is that she wants you to be monotonous, and
So,
she doesn't want to have a lot of variety.
so
That's the only reason.
I listened to your first time when you said we could have either one.
Yeah, that was
And
not right.
I know, but I bought
Yeah.
some of each. So for the last 2 days, I've been using them up and I'm still losing weight very nicely.
Okay. Okay. All right. You know, Personally, I think it would work. Like in my case, it would probably work because I like to eat roasted sweet potatoes at about 3 in the afternoon or so, when sometimes I get a little bit of a sweet tooth and I want something sweet, and or later in the day, because they're so low in calorie and the glycemic index is a little bit slower than a potato, but still it will work. So I agree with you, but let's follow Mary's guidelines saying that for more, try to stay with
Yeah.
Okay, can you incorporate, what is OMAD? I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
That's 1 meal a day, Gustavo.
Oh, okay. Okay.
1 meal a day,
Thank you.
like for people who
Okay.
do fasting, and yeah.
Thank you. I didn't know. Learning something new every time.
I
Can
just
you-
recently learned that too, just from, yeah.
Okay. OMAD. Okay.
Oh, man, yeah.
That
Okay.
might be good for when we get closer, but Gustavo's programs are perfect because he helps us incorporate, if we can, an extended fast from the morning, and that helped me to feel like I could do 2 meals a day. I wasn't really needing a third one. I don't know if I'm ready for 1 meal a day yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
think
don't
with
know. Yeah.
well, I was going to say with the calorie density, the low calorie density of this program, I don't know how we could do OMAD ever.
Mhm.
How could you get, like, I don't know, 1,200, 1,500 calories in one sitting? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nope.
I think
No,
that would
I
be
know.
like you could get in trouble with a starvation diet. Like I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah, agree.
I know that, for example, Chef AJ eats usually 2 meals a day. She doesn't eat breakfast because she's not hungry. And many times I don't eat breakfast. But then after that, from lunch to dinner, with those 2 meals and maybe with something in between, you get up to your, whatever, more than 600 or 700 calories a day. But I would, Amy, if you want to email me, we could chat more. I think that would probably not be good for these 10 days. But there are ways to incorporate doing a fasting period every day, which is very easy because it happens during the night while we're sleeping, that accelerates fat loss. And there's a way to do that. Oh, someone commented about condiments. I want to show you this. This is a really good salt substitute. It's called Benson's Table Tasty. If you're trying to get away from using salt, this will make your food taste salty, and it doesn't have any salt, and it's all powdered vegetables. It's excellent. Or you can get any of the so many varieties of Mrs. Dash as well, and that's if you're trying to not use salt. Okay. Anything else?
Gustavo,
Yes.
I just want to mention the Bensons and the Mrs. Dash are wonderful. Those are all good. And eventually our taste buds, we get so used to them. But I also want to mention, just after a couple of days, I've lost 3 pounds and I'm not hungry. This is really working well. And my chosen starch is brown rice. So brown rice and vegetables.
Oh,
And so,
yeah.
but everything that you presented, and also just having this wonderful community, I'm very grateful for all of this. So thank you. Thanks
Oh.
for doing this.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes. No, thank you. No, I'm
Yeah.
glad. I haven't
Thank
weighed yet, and I'm gonna do it at the last day. But it is getting harder for me because I've lost most of the weight that I wanted to lose.
Those
So
last few pounds.
it's yeah, and I'm not obsessed anymore. Otherwise, then it turns out to be not fun, and that's not the point of eating this way.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we'll see how this works.
Thank you,
Do any of you
Gustavo.
have any Yeah, no, you're welcome. I will be sending the replay with the links to some of those videos that have easy meals. Any other questions, doubts? So the question sort of remains whether you can have fruit or not. Okay, so I'm gonna say it's not. It really, if I go with these guidelines that are current, there is no mention whatsoever of fruit. And then sometimes I've heard, well, the other day, Dr. McDougall mentioned having some fruit. And so, yeah, we'll have to leave that up to you, whether you want to try at least. I'm trying. I haven't had fruit yet. But if at some point I just really want something else, I'm just going to limit. I tend to eat a lot of fruit during the day, every day. So if I don't cut it completely out, then I will certainly limit it. Okay. Well, I hope that all of you have a great day today, and keep in touch. You won't bother me if you email me or put questions, post questions in the videos. Remember that all the videos are uploaded to my YouTube channel, so we can stay in touch. Have a good day, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.